Hey guys, back again with another video. I know it's been a while. I've been playing a lot of stuff, so I decided instead of doing like a games I've been playing recently video, actually a pickups video. Because I have gotten a lot of games lately, and some of these I'm playing right now, so I thought, let's just do a pickups video. I haven't done one well, actually no, I think I did one kind of recently. Yeah, let's just jump right into things. Quite a few games here. Let's see. The first one is, this game is kind of interesting. Okay, Rad Roger on the PS4 here. This game was $20, extremely cheap. And I just saw it at the store and I was like, what is that game? That game looks weird. You look at the cover, right? And it looks like a kid's game, but then it's rated M. And it's got like a bunch of swearing in it, and it's apparently inspired by a lot of like old school PC platformers like Jazz Jackrabbit and Commander Keen, I think, and things like that. Games that I never really played growing up. I wasn't much of a PC gamer, but I looked at reviews of this game, and it's apparently pretty decent. And I played a little bit of it, like the first level or so. I haven't gone back to it. I'm gonna go back to it later, but it's actually not too bad. It's a fairly simplistic game. It's just side scroller where you've got this gun and it's a side scrolling Contra like game with some platforming in it. It's not too bad. The only thing I don't like about it is the way how you progress through the levels. You have to like find a certain amount of these collectibles to actually complete the level. So there's been a few times where I get to the ending of the level and I'm missing something, and I have to backtrack through the entire level just to find the one item I need to actually beat the level. That I don't like. That, like, to me, that just does not work for a platformer like this. But maybe, I don't know, maybe those old PC platformers, they were like that. So maybe it's inspired by them in that way. But yeah, for $20, not too bad if you're looking for like a nice side-scrolling platformer. I definitely plan to play this a little more later. I know probably not a lot of people have heard of this. It's such a weird, random game, but I mean the price is definitely not too bad. That's Canadian too, $20 Canadian. I don't know what it is in the U.S. Like, it's got to be cheaper, right? Like $10 or something, 15 maybe. I don't know. It's weird. The next game, I actually did finish this one. I won't do a review. I'll just talk about my brief thoughts here. That's Life is Strange Before the Storm. This is this limited edition. It's got like soundtrack, art book, some DLC content, outfit pack. It says, I haven't looked at this yet, but I have the original Life is Strange on PC, and on the back here it says Life is Strange Episode 1, Season 1. So I'm assuming you only get the first episode of the first season, which is kind of lame. I wish they kind of include the whole thing, but I mean, I don't know, this limited edition's only like $10 or $20 extra than the regular edition, so I guess I can kind of understand it in that way. And I have already played Life is Strange, so it's not, I don't care about having it on PS4. But I enjoyed Before the Storm. I don't think it's as good as the original Life is Strange, which is already kind of a divisive game. A lot of people hate it. It's certainly flawed. A lot of the writing is very... it's cringeworthy and it's cheesy, but like it's so well-meaning, that game, with its themes, and I kind of like the high school melodrama, and then it has some really powerful emotional moments. The first season, a certain moment that was at the end of episode 2 and the beginning of episode 3. I think I could be wrong. It might be the beginning of episode 3, ending of 4. There's a certain moment that's in between seasons of that. Or in between episodes of that season, that is honestly one of the most emotional like things I've seen in a video game. Like, it's really well done. There's a lot of good stuff in that original game. I really like the characters and the setting, and I wanted to play this prequel because yeah, this is a prequel focusing on Chloe. The writing is maybe not as good here. There's not as many like moments in the game that pack that emotional punch. But there's a lot of good character development in this game, and there's a lot of tragedy to it. It's not really a spoiler, but Chloe's father dies in basically when she's pretty young, and this doesn't take place that long after he dies. And there's a lot of like these nightmare / dream sequences with her father that are extremely well done. They're very abstract and they're emotional. I gotta say, it really made me start to think of like of people that lose their parents when they're really young, and how awful that must be. It gets that across like really well, and I think like Chloe was not one of my favorite characters in the original game, but this Before the Storm makes her more likable for me. But yeah, I enjoyed Before the Storm. Not as good as the original. It's shorter, which is good, but I don't know. It's a weird series where I love the characters and the setting, and I don't mind that there's some cheesy writing here and there, because I think it's just the way it tackles its themes is so well-meaning and realistic that I can't help but love the games, and I'm definitely looking forward to the sequel for Life is Strange. What next? I guess we'll start with, let's see, the other game I'm playing right now, Ni no Kuni II here on PS4. I really enjoyed the first game back on PS3. I know a lot of people hated on it. It has a really weird battle system where it's like pseudo real-time, pseudo turn-based in a way. It had like a Pokemon element to it where you were collecting familiars and leveling them up. This game completely does away with all that. It's still got the charm and amazing like animation of that first game. It's in the same world, but a different characters and a different time period from what I understand. But it's action battles now. It's all real time. It reminds me of like maybe Kingdom Hearts a little bit, but it's still got like the giant world map where you're running into enemies and getting into battles and leveling up your characters. Just no more Pokemon collecting anymore, which I like. I'm glad that they got rid of that because I've never been a big fan of that in games. I think the Shin Megami Tensei games are the only ones where I actually don't mind it, and even then, it's not like a favorite thing for me. The battle system's a ton of fun in this game. It's really responsive. It's fluid. There's a lot of cool abilities for you to use. One of the things I really like about this game actually are it's got that classic JRPG thing where you go to a new town and kind of solve their problems. But the main story in this game is basically like running your own country and kind of getting all these other countries to sign a peace treaty, basically. And one of the best things about this game is upgrading your kingdom and investing money into it. And the way that the side quests tie into that is amazing. A lot of JRPGs have these really boring side quests that give you horrible rewards that make it not worth doing. Xenoblade 2 is a big example of a game where the side quests were just horribly designed and the rewards were not worth it, so I never did any of them. It's still got the bland fetch quest type design in this game, but at least you're recruiting new people for your kingdom. So it feels rewarding, so you feel like you're not wasting your time doing these side quests. And the kingdom part of the game is really in-depth, and it kind of permeates the entire game, and it kind of bleeds in with all the other systems that the game has. But yeah, I was saying before, I was saying like each of these towns has these countries rather have their own like politics to them, and it's really fascinating. Like the first country you visit, called Goldpaw, is like this. It's got like this casino, and there's like this Lady Luck statue that basically rolls this dice every month that determines what the taxes are going to be for that month, and it always rolls sixes, which means the taxes are times by 6, and you have to kind of figure out what's going on there. Is there something shady going on there? And I thought it was kind of fascinating. I'd never seen anything like that. And then I've reached this new country called Hydropolis, and they've got like these really strict rules where they've like forbidden love. If you show any sign of like affection or love towards anyone, you get arrested. And it's just, I don't know, the game's constantly throwing shit like that at me, and I'm like, huh, I've never seen this before. This is kind of intriguing. So yeah, the world is pretty interesting in this game. I gotta say, I dig it. There's definitely some complaints I have with the game so far. It's extremely easy. One of the easiest RPGs I've played. A lot of people are complaining about this. I don't mind it as much as a lot of people. I don't think the game's horrible because of it, and there's certainly some optional challenges that are going to be tough. There's a bunch of these tainted monsters you'll find, and they can be pretty tough. At least this one slime that I've found is pretty tough, but then again, I've been fighting a lot of others that are like 10 levels higher than me, and I'm still able to actually kill them, so maybe the game is a little on the easy side, and the battles go by so fast, and I've got this new ability that it's like this massive sword attack that attacks a bunch of enemies in in a radius, and it one-shots them all. So I'll go into a battle, use this power right in the middle of all these enemies, and immediately I just win right away. It's kind of crazy. I don't know. This game's, yeah. It maybe could use some difficulty levels. I'm surprised it doesn't have them, considering the first Ni no Kuni did. I guess other things, the world map is weird. It doesn't look near as good as the actual towns themselves. Like, the graphics take a pretty big hit. And the frame rate does, too. It's a pretty shoddy frame rate when you're exploring this world map. And then your characters turn all chibi, which I don't think really works all that well. I don't know, it's very ugly world map, but it's still a world map, which I fucking love. I always love classic JRPG world maps, so I'm glad they at least brought that back from the first game. But I feel like it was probably better in the first game, the actual world map itself. And then the only other thing I would say is the music is completely underwhelming so far. It's all bland orchestral music, like with the first game, and that's a bit of a bummer. Especially since typically JRPGs tend to have some of my favorite music, so to have a game with the soundtrack this bland is kind of lame. But yeah, I recommend the game. If you were turned off by the combat in the first one, give this a chance. I think you'll like the more action-focused approach that it's got, and it's just a really relaxing, pleasant, charming game so far. Really, really enjoying it. Let's see, what else do we have? Far Cry 5. It's still sealed. I haven't opened this yet. You know, everyone knows my thoughts on Ubisoft games, but you know what? I've never really played a Far Cry game other than Blood Dragon, and that was more like a side kind of thing. And I thought, you know what? I really love the concept behind this game. I really think it's kind of interesting, but I've heard it doesn't go far enough with the whole white nationalist thing, which I don't know. I don't know how I'll feel about that. I have to play the game myself to really judge what the story's gonna be like. But apparently the actual gameplay here is extremely fun, and you like fight bears and all this shit. And I think the Montana setting is just is different. It's it's not something you've really seen before in video games. So I'm gonna give the Far Cry franchise a shot here. Even though it does have like everything I hate about Ubisoft's games, the giant map with a million just icons plastered over a map, and just really boring shit for you to do, and just basically a giant checklist of chores. Hopefully that's not the case with this game. I think maybe this is going to be my last attempt at like an Ubisoft open world game. If I don't like this, then I'm just done with them completely. But I don't know, I decided to give it a chance, and I essentially got this game for free. So why not? I'll give it a shot. What else? Okay. Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. These next three games I went to game shopping in Toronto here with a couple friends. Man, Toronto is such a great city for game shopping, even though it's expensive. Some of the stores are expensive, like A&C Games is just overpriced. I didn't get anything there, but there's plenty of other good stores for you to find if any of you guys actually live in Toronto. But I bought Phantom Hourglass. I have Spirit Tracks already. I needed this for my Zelda collection, basically. And yeah, I hate this game. I've talked about it ad nauseum. In the recent Final Bosses podcast, I explained why I hate this game so much. I'm not going to repeat it here, but it's the worst Zelda game by far. It's honestly, it's a legit terrible game. Like, it's not even mediocre. It's just bad. Temple of the Ocean King is, I'll just say, it's one of the worst ideas, or the worst execution on an interesting idea I've ever seen. But anyways, I want to try to get physical copies of every Zelda game just because I'm such a huge fan of the series, and this is one I needed, and it was complete, and it was pretty cheap as well. It didn't cost me that much, so I was like, fine, why not? Even though I'm never going to play this piece of shit ever again. What else? Bayonetta 2 here on the Switch. I've played it on the Wii U. It's one of my favorite games on the Wii U. It's one of my favorite character action games, and this concludes the first game as well. Digital only, unfortunately, not on the cartridge itself. I don't think I'm going to play this again yet. I feel like I played Bayonetta 2 not that long ago, and it was one of those games where I played it, and then I immediately played it again. I finished it like 3 times in a row, so I'm not exactly like hankering to go back to it. But I sold my Wii U copy of the game and decided to upgrade to the Switch version. If you haven't played Bayonetta 2 or Bayonetta 1, what are you waiting for? Go buy this if you have a Switch. Right now, it is probably the best character action game ever made. Like, the combat in this game is just spectacular. the story is complete nonsense. I don't think I could possibly describe to you what happens in these games. It's just absolute nonsense. It's worse than like the Kingdom Hearts games, to be honest. But the gameplay is so good, and the set pieces are so good, and the art to it, and the music. It's a phenomenal game. Definitely play Bayonetta 2. And then the final two games are games for a console that I don't actually even own yet. But the first one is Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. I'm going to get a PSP very soon. I'm still on the lookout for one that's in good condition. I was about to buy one, actually, but it was a little... The condition of it wasn't great, so I decided to pass and wait until this particular store was going to get a better conditioned PSP. There's a lot of PSP games that aren't on the PlayStation Store for Vita, and like most PSP games I can get on there, like Tactics Ogre, things like that, but there's like 7 or so PSP games that I made a list of that I want, and I want to get a PSP along with it. It's not that expensive. These games, for the most part, aren't that expensive, and shockingly, Crisis Core is one of them. And I don't want to play on a PSP emulator. I handheld emulators to me I've never liked, just because you have that small screen. But yeah, Crisis Core is not on the PlayStation Network for Vita, which is insane because this game got like amazing reviews. It's a Final Fantasy VII spin-off. And yeah, it blows my mind that this is not on the PlayStation Store. A lot of Square Enix games aren't for some reason. And I've never played this game. I've always wanted to, so yeah, it's one of those PSP games that's that I want. There's only like 7 games I'm going to try to collect for the PSP, because most of them are available on the PlayStation Network where I can just play them on the Vita. But yeah, Crisis Core is one of them. Always heard great things about this game. Hopefully I can get to it sometime this year. It's not too expensive. This game you can get for very cheap as well. And then the other game I got is Valkyrie Profile Lenneth. And yeah, okay. They just had like this teaser thing on their Twitter account for Valkyrie Profile, and I was all excited. I was like, "Oh shit, maybe they're gonna do a version." It was particularly this version of it. This is I guess a kind of a remaster of the PS1 game. I've heard a few people say this one's worse, but I don't know. Looking into it, it doesn't look like it's that much different than the original game. I don't know. I think the people are being a little too much of purists as far as this particular version of the game goes. It seems pretty identical to the PlayStation 1. This is like one of those games that I've been wanting to play for the longest time, and I just have never gotten the chance to, and I wanted this PSP version specifically, and again, not on the PlayStation Network. And yeah, that whole Twitter countdown, turns out it was just for a fucking mobile port, of course, that probably won't even leave Japan anyways. So yeah, that's depressing, and it being a mobile port is probably going to be garbage too. So that mobile port, they would probably port it to like PC and things like that, but it's going to be like that Chrono Trigger one that just came out, like a really shoddy way to play a classic game. So yeah, the PSP version of this game, this is a cheap game. You can find this pretty cheap, and I found it cheap as well. Both these games were complete as well, which I was looking for. But yeah, not on the PlayStation Network, unfortunately, and this is another one of those games I want to get to this year. It's always looked amazing to me. I like oh man, the art in this game is absolutely amazing. I love, man, the art is so good. The battle system looks unique. Apparently the story is really good in this game. I'm very excited to actually finally play this one. It's just the PS2 sequel now. It is going to be a pain in the ass because it's not on the PlayStation Network, and the only way to actually play it is an actual PS2. Might have to resort to emulation for that one, but yeah, I still need to get a PSP. But the other games I'm looking for are Mega Man Powered Up. Surprisingly, it's not on the PlayStation Network, although Maverick Hunter X is on there. I don't know why. Capcom is usually good with supporting the PlayStation Network, but not with Mega Man Powered Up, at least. The Metal Gear Acid games always looked really interesting to me. I'd like to give them a try, and they're not on the PlayStation Network, which kind of makes sense. They're kind of weird games that don't think a lot of people really want to go back to, but I've always thought they looked like totally bizarre and interesting. What else? Star Ocean 1 and more, and in particular 2. Star Ocean 2 on PSP, because the PS1 version is really expensive. I don't have a PS1. It's not on the PlayStation Network either. another Square Enix game. And bizarrely, they're doing remasters of Star Ocean 3 and 4 on PS4, but not Star Ocean 2. And it actually came out in Japan on the PS4, a Star Ocean 2 remaster. And they didn't bring that over. Instead, they're bringing fucking Star Ocean 3 and 4. I don't know. Square Enix confuses the fuck out of me. Their online store is complete garbage, too, for Canadians. Like, this is just a rant I'm going to go on here, but I've been kind of wanting this physical copy of Lost Sphere for the Switch, and it's only had a physical release on the Square Enix store. That's the only way you can actually get it. They want $48.99 in shipping to ship it to Canada. The game costs $50. What the fuck? And it's the only shipping option is this priority shipping. It's like, I could maybe understand if I lived in Australia or some shit, but it's fucking Canada. We're neighbors to the US. Why the fuck is it so expensive to ship? And it's Square Enix. It's not even like a US. I mean, US shipping. If you're buying something from the US on eBay, yeah, you're gonna get nailed with the import charges, and it's never worth it. But I just ordered a game off of limitedrungames.com. I pre-ordered Thimbleweed Park on the Switch, and they want $10 shipping. That's reasonable. But fucking $50 to ship a fucking Switch game? Get the hell out of here. Like, dude, fucking Square Enix, they really, like, they're between their online store and the PSN shit, and then the constant mobile ports, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. But there's my rant for this video. But anyways, that's all the pickups. Was there something else I was missing on PSP that I was wanting? I have like a list. I think that might be it, though. There's not too much. Really, most games are on the PlayStation Network. Those are the big ones, like Metal Gear Acid 1, 2, Star Ocean 2. Star Ocean 2 is probably the big one that I'm looking for right now. There might be something I'm missing that I can't think of at the moment. But anyways, that's it, guys. What games are you guys playing right now? What games have you picked up lately? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.